Vigilante, 자경단을 뜻하는 말이죠.
And welcome. Today we're diving into a recap and breakdown of the K-drama Vigilante. Right from the first episode, we're introduced to our main character, Ji-yong, played by the legendary Nam Joo-hyuk, who's juggling two very different lives. By day, he's a seemingly gentle, soft-spoken student training to become a police officer. But by night, specifically on the weekends, he turns into a vigilante, tracking down brutal criminals who've managed to slip through the cracks of the justice system. On the surface, Ji-yong seems like a regular, kind guy, but his double life forces us to constantly question what's truly right or wrong. With each episode, the story pulls you in deeper, layering on twists and complications, especially as the people around him start getting caught up in his increasingly dangerous mission. And the ending? Don't even get me started. There's a lot to unpack, so let's jump into it. The story opens in a cold, sterile courtroom. Sitting quietly is a young boy, Kim Ji-yong, already hollowed out by grief. He watches numb as the judge hands down a mere 3.5-year sentence to the man who beat his mother to death. The same man had done it before. But once again, the court accepts his apology and writes off her death as unintentional. Ji-yong doesn't blink. He just stares ahead, angry tears streaming down his young face. Then the man, Choi Mi-ryeo, a slightly overweight brute with a goonish face and patchy stubble, turns to him and smirks, locking eyes as he's dragged away. A final, taunting grin. That moment sears itself into Ji-yong's memory. 12 years later, Choi Mi-ryeo hasn't changed. Still a thug, still violent. This time, he nearly beats a bus driver unconscious, for the simple offense of reporting him to the police. The other passengers sit frozen as he rips out the CCTV and storms off the bus. But someone else is watching. A hooded figure follows him into the night, shadowing him down winding streets and narrow alleys. Sung-soo senses something, turns, and true to form, lashes out, yelling threats into the darkness. The figure doesn't flinch. Why is someone like you, a criminal like you, still walking free? He asks. The fight is fast, violent, and final. Under the glow of a streetlight, the attacker's face is revealed. It's Ji-yong, grown now, hardened. He leaves Choi Mi-ryeo bloodied and broken, then walks away without a flicker of remorse. At home, Ji-yong stares blankly into space. He feels no regret, but he also knows no peace. Did he kill Choi Mi-ryeo? It sure looks like he did. As the sun rises the next day, we see Ji-yong again. But this time, he's completely different. Now a top student at the police academy, he sits quietly through a lecture by Professor Lee Jun-yeob, focused and composed. He gets along well with his classmates, especially Min Sun-wook and another close friend who are always trying to coax him into hitting the clubs on the weekends. Ji-yong always turns them down, saying he's busy. Busy with what exactly? We get a clue when he stops to help an elderly woman struggling with her cart. She thanks him with a handful of sweets. Later, at home, Ji-yong turns on the news. Another disturbing case is making headlines. The public is outraged. The courts have sided with a man who broke into someone's house and attacked the homeowner after being told to leave. Ji-yong starts digging. The man, Mr. Kim, has a history of violence, so Ji-yong pays him a visit. He shows up just in time to witness Mr. Kim and his friend harassing the same victims again, an older woman and her young son. They're laughing, urinating through the window, mocking them. Watching this unfold, something in Ji-yong snaps. He beats them both, brutally. This becomes his routine. On weekends, Ji-yong hunts down criminals who slip through the cracks of the justice system. A rapist doctor, domestic abusers, street thugs. He doesn't discriminate. As long as they deserve punishment, he'll be the one to deliver it. Meanwhile, at the headquarters of the news program Pt.1, an ambitious reporter with striking red hair, Choi Mi-ryeo, strides into her boss's office. She's got a story she believes could boost the show's ratings. She asks for permission to investigate a strange pattern she's noticed in recent violent crime reports. Several criminals who should be behind bars have been showing up beaten and bloodied. Mi-ryeo suspects someone out there is taking justice into their own hands. Her boss is skeptical at first, but when Mi-ryeo hints that she could easily pitch the story to someone more interested, he reluctantly gives her the green light. She's got her lead, but she knows it has to land. If it doesn't, her future at the show could be on the line. Determined, she gets to work. Back at the academy, Ji-yong and his friends are deep in a discussion about whether the police should intervene when the courts fail. Professor Jun-yob had prompted the debate by asking why so many cold murder cases remain unsolved. Could legal reforms be the issue? As the debate unfolds, Ji-yong surprises his friends by arguing that the law must be upheld, even when it seems flawed. The role of the police, he insists, is to apprehend criminals, not to punish them. His friends are caught off guard. They expected him to take the victim's side. But that's because they don't realize just how many secrets Ji-yong is keeping from them. As the news reports on Ji-yong's latest attack, he quietly hides his bruised hands, listening while his friends praise the mysterious Vigilante, now hailed as a hero after the grateful victim speaks out. Ji-yong stays silent as the conversation flows around him. The buzz intensifies, and Mi-ryeo grows bolder. She knows this story could be a major breakthrough for her career, so she comes up with a plan to lure the Vigilante out. Realizing he's active on weekends, Mi-ryeo persuades her boss to revisit a disturbing old case on air to bait him, the Shi-yoon case. The case involved a young woman named Shi-yoon who had been brutally sexually assaulted in a park. Her attacker pleaded temporary insanity and got a mere slap on the wrist. Just 7 years. Meanwhile, Shi-yoon had to change her name to escape the backlash and stigma that followed. Mi-ryeo wants to expose the man responsible live on air, hoping the Vigilante will take notice. The plan works. Sort of. Public outrage explodes. Crowds begin camping outside the attacker's apartment. The man, a middle-aged ex-con named Jong Dok-hung, panics. One night, he cuts off his ankle monitor and disappears. Mi-ryeo tracks him to Incheonport as police scramble to respond. At the same time, Ji-yong, helping his professor develop a criminal profiling app, quietly uses his access to dig into Dok-hung's file. The professor, impressed by Ji-yong's initiative, has no idea what his student is really after. Back at the port, it's chaos. Mi-ryeo is growing more and more frustrated. The police are in her way, slowing everything down. But no one turns up, not Dok-hung, and definitely not the Vigilante. As a precaution, they assign officers to protect Si-yoon, the original victim. But then the worst-case scenario unfolds. With resources stretched thin, one of the officers is pulled from her post. As he heads out, he stops to check a delivery man. Everything seems normal, but it's not. Dok-hung has been hiding inside the building the whole time. He ambushes the delivery guy, steals his helmet, and heads straight for Si-yoon's apartment. He stabs the one remaining officer and pushes past. Si-yoon, hearing the commotion, opens the door. She freezes when she sees him. The injured officer, bleeding out, barely conscious, still tries to hold Dok-hung back. He shouts for Si-yoon to run. She bolts down the stairs with Dok-hung close behind. At the same time, Mi-ryeo, having pieced things together, races towards Si-yoon's place. But Ji-yong beats her there. He finds Dok-hung mid-attack. No hesitation. Ji-yong explodes with fury, beating Dok-hung mercilessly. The killer pleads for his life, but Ji-yong doesn't hear it. Doesn't want to. Then, like a ghost, Ji-yong disappears into the night, just barely avoiding Mi-ryeo's car as she arrives. She slams on the brakes, unaware of who she almost hit. The police swarm the scene. All that's left is Dok-hung's mangled corpse. Mi-ryeo slips inside and finds a message scrawled in blood across the wall. Heaven's net. I am sorry. Forgive. She's ecstatic. She was right. There is a Vigilante out there. And now, if she can find him, her career will be made. Meanwhile, Ji-yong walks alone through the night, lost in thought. The law might fail, but he won't. If no one else will do what's necessary, he will. His rules.
이 문제는 경찰을 해가면서 계속 고민해봐야 되는 문제야. 저기 김
The city is electric. Word of Jong Dok-hung's brutal death is spreading like wildfire. As the public spirals into a frenzy, the police are scrambling to regroup. Everything shifted the moment that message was found. Written in blood, scrawled across the wall like something from an ancient scripture. Now, they're not just chasing a killer, they're hunting someone cold, calculated, and deliberate. One detective mutters that the message is from the Tao Te Ching, a passage about heaven's net that catches all who sin. For those unfamiliar, the Tao Te Ching is an ancient Chinese text by Laozi, simple yet profound, focused on harmony, humility, and letting life flow without force. But there's nothing peaceful about what just happened. Another officer questions aloud, was the vigilante really wrong to kill Till Doc Hung, especially after what he did to one of their own? Let's not forget, Doc Hung stabbed a team member, twice. But Ji-yong had already said it earlier. It's not their job to decide who deserves what. The vigilante committed murder. Now it's on them to catch him. They comb the scene. No DNA, no fingerprints, not even a smudge. Everything is clean, surgical. The only thing left behind? That cryptic message on the wall, now splashed across every news channel in the country. To make things worse, the public is eating it up. To them, this vigilante is doing what the system can't, or won't. So no one's volunteering information. No tips, no leads. And just to twist the knife, Pt.1 drops the crime scene photos online, pouring gasoline on an already raging fire. Back at the police academy, Professor Jun-yob gets pulled into the investigation. A well-known criminal profiler, he's asked by the police to put together a profile of the vigilante. Before heading out, he reminds Ji-yong and his friend Sun-wook to stay focused on the profiling app they're developing, and not to take anything from his office. When Sun-wook tries to offer his thoughts on the vigilante, the professor cuts him off immediately. But while the professor may be hesitant to make a move, he's not the only one with an opinion. Even at the crime scene, neighbors are picking sides. One elderly man flat out tells the detectives they should be thanking the vigilante instead of hunting him down. And Si-yoon, the woman the vigilante saved, she's refusing to say anything at all. Pt.1 isn't exactly helping either. Mi-ryeo and her boss, Kwak Chang-hyun, are milking the story for all it's worth, sensationalizing every detail. Bad news is still news, and horrified viewers are still viewers. Riding the high of the growing buzz, Mi-ryeo pushes even harder. She wants the team to release not one, but 3 criminal profiles, hoping one will bait the vigilante. It's a bold move. Flood the news with targets, throw the police off, and track his next step. Mi-ryeo is certain Ji-yong will take the bait, and this time, she plans to catch him. Meanwhile, back at the academy, Ji-yong's friends are joking around, saying the vigilante seems super narcissistic, but in a good way, with solid leadership skills. Kind of like Ji-yong himself, they tease. Ji-yong, as usual, stays quiet. Instead, he's focused, watching Pt.1's latest broadcast closely while the others chat. Of the 3 stories aired, it's the one about the murdered family that clearly strikes a nerve. Later that night, Ji-yong sneaks into Professor Jun-yob's office to do some digging. The suspect? A man named So Do-yop. According to the report, back in 2018, So Do-yop broke into his former boss's house and murdered the boss's wife and 2 young children. Then, as if nothing had happened, he went out partying, posting selfies with drinks in hand. Despite the brutality of the crime, So Do-yop ended up with an unbelievably light sentence. Now out of prison, he's gone straight back to his old lifestyle, partying like before. With his target now locked in, Ji-yong surprises his friends that evening by finally giving in to their constant pleading. This weekend, he's going clubbing. The trio heads to a club where So Do-yop is known to hang out. Once inside, Ji-yong spots him in the crowd and notices that he's selling drugs to international students. Heaving over to the man, things take a sharp turn when, while his friends fumble through awkward attempts to pick up girls, Ji-yong finds himself unexpectedly cornered by a girl at the nightclub. Playing along with her flirtation, Ji-yong follows her deeper into the club, but when she suddenly kisses him hard, he accidentally swallows one of the pills Do-yop had been selling. Dazed and high, Ji-yong staggers through the booming chaos of the club. The next morning, he wakes up groggy, nursing one of the worst hangovers of his life. He doesn't remember everything, but he remembers enough. Back at the academy, he throws himself into research, trying to piece it all together. Meanwhile, over at Pt.1, Mi-ryeo and the other reporters are baffled. The Vigilante didn't show up last weekend. What gives? But they don't have long to wait. The following weekend, Ji-yong, now having spent the week studying Do-yop's every move, finally takes action. He tails him, tracks his routines, and even discovers where Do-yop is hiding his money. But instead of confronting him head-on, Ji-yong leaves a note on Do-yop's car. It's more than just a warning. It includes a phone number. And not just any number. It connects directly to a narcotics officer in Busan. The message is loud and clear. Come clean now, or deal with the Vigilante. Of course, Do-yop panics. He calls his friend Sung-yeol to help trace the number and lay low while he tries to figure things out. But Ji-yong is always one step ahead. Realizing that Do-yop has no intention of turning himself in, Ji-yong tails him to his supplier, watches him get paid, and listens as he asks one too many questions. The boss picks up on the tension. Something's off. The club gets raided. Do-yop runs. He makes it home, heart pounding, only to find his stash of money gone. He completely loses it, thinking, what the hell is going on? Then the call comes. I was hoping the police would take care of it, make things easier for me. But I guess not. Ji-yong sets the stolen money on fire. Do-yop tries to fight back, but it's no use. Ji-yong takes him down without breaking a sweat. He gives Do-yop one last chance to come clean, but Do-yop still refuses. It's only when Ji-yong starts choking him that the reality finally sinks in. Do-yop begs, grovels, pleads, but Ji-yong's mercy has run out. By morning, Do-yop is dead, and the police? They're back at square one. This time, when the cops show up, they keep the media at a distance. No cameras, no questions. But it doesn't make much of a difference. Word spreads fast, and the public's still behind the Vigilante. On live TV, reporters argue. Some call him a hero, someone doing what the law can't or won't. Others are pushing back. Aren't people just cheering on a killer? Meanwhile, Ji-yong sits back, watching it all unfold in silence, soaking it in. Over at Pt.1, the atmosphere couldn't be more different. Champagne's flowing, people are cheering. The show's ratings are soaring, fueled by the chaos. But Mi-ryeo isn't in the mood to celebrate. She shuts the party down without hesitation. How did they let him slip away again? She's furious, frustrated. She can't believe they missed him, again. One unexpected side effect of all the buzz? Crime rates actually start to dip. The police, feeling the heat, decide it's time to shake things up. They merge their unit with the regional task force. Not everyone's thrilled about it, especially now that regional unit leader Cho Hae-on is in charge. Cho Hae-on doesn't waste a second. He tracks down Gu Sung-yeol, one of Do-yop's underlings, and puts the pressure on. A few hard slaps later, Sung-yeol cracks. He doesn't know much, but he does remember one thing. Someone young had been following Do-yop. If they were hanging around the club, they've got to be in their 20s. Cho Han makes the call. His voice cold and resolute. He'll handle the Vigilante and bury the story before the public even knows what happened. Meanwhile, Mi-ryeo stands alone at Do-yop's crime scene. The crowd has dispersed, but her eyes are sharper than ever, scanning each shadow for what others overlooked. Across the city, Ji-yong trains in silence, his fists pounding the heavy bag over and over. The net is closing in, but so is his grip. All right, let's take a breath and get into it, because we're a few episodes in now, and I've got some thoughts. First up, pacing. So far, honestly, it's solid. Like, really solid. They're not barreling through the big moments, but they're not dragging things out either. There's this steady, deliberate build, scene by scene, that actually gives everything, and everyone, room to breathe. Now, let's talk about Mi-ryeo. Look, I get it. She's sharp, ambitious, and definitely not clueless. But there's just something about her that feels off. I think it's that twisted excitement she gets from all the chaos, that spark in her eye when things get more gruesome. She clearly doesn't care about the victims. It's all about the story for her. The more violent, the more sensational, the better. And yeah, that's probably how someone in her position would react. It feels disturbingly real, but I won't lie. It makes me uncomfortable as hell. But now we've got Cho Han in the mix, and I'm all for it. He brings a whole new dynamic to the table, a real challenge for the clever, calculating Ji-yong. Now, let's talk about the villains. And I mean truly bad villains. No half measures here. These people are downright awful. And that's really the point, isn't it? The worse they are, the more you start to understand Ji-yong. That's what the show captures so brilliantly. He's not out there targeting innocent people, he's going after monsters. And somehow, that makes you root for him, even though you know what he's doing crosses the line and is horrifying in its own right. The show doesn't shy away from this complexity. It fully embraces the moral debate. Where do we draw the line? Where do you think the show will head next? Honestly, I'm not sure, but I'm definitely staying tuned. Don't miss part 2 coming up on the Star Planet channel.
법이 제대로 받아내지 못한 죄값을
법엔 구멍이 나. 이런 게